right. All right. Well, thank you. We've got Ashley on here. We got Nichole Pool, who I've known for, golly, I don't even know,
Been
maybe
a long time now.
it's a long time.
Like
Yeah.
2014, maybe.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
way back then when we were in CORE, which is Colorado Obstacle Racing. We met doing Spartan races and all kinds of fun stuff. And so Nichole's we've kind of maintained our relationship on, Facebook and everything and through other events. I miss the habanero thing that James used to do.
Yes. That was so fun.
That was fun. We had some other stuff that was going on, and we used to just do a lot of different fun stuff together as far as obstacle racing and fitness. And she, I guess we got reconnected again, after my disconnect from Facebook, and then she came into my group and she applied for the scholarship. When was that? That was back in March.
February, March, yeah.
Yeah, so she won the scholarship. And so what we're going to do is she's going to talk about, one of the biggest struggles is that as women and moms, we're all busy, right? Whether you're single, you're married, you have kids, you don't have kids, we all have our own kind of busy. So she, as a mom, is going to talk to us a little bit about her journey on, kind of where she was back then and where, things have gone through with her daughter. She's got 2 daughters, right? How old are they?
Mm-hmm. 11 and 8.
11
I have
and
to
8.
Think about that.
I know, right? As they start getting older, you forget. Yeah. And she's got one that is a special needs. So she's busy and, so she's going to tell her a little bit of her journey and how she's able to fit, the fitness and what this has done for her and why she's doing it. So Nichole, tell us a little bit about what made you actually, let's start back from what made you actually join the challenge and start kind of following along what we were doing.
Okay. So it kind of all started, I think, around the beginning of the year. Victoria invited me to the group and was like, hey, try this out. I think it might be worth something to you. And it came at a really good time because last summer I started having all kinds of like weird health problems and my whole body was just falling apart. So finally figured out what it was. I have Hashimoto's and I have psoriatic arthritis and a couple other things. So I'm like, this isn't going to fly. So I had gone from when we were back obstacle course racing, being really, really good with my fitness, really good with my nutrition. I got super, super sick in February of 2020, knocked me out for a while, and turns out it fried my thyroid and all of that. So I just felt like I was falling apart. I had gained a bunch of weight and I was just feeling exhausted. I couldn't stay awake half the day. And it was really impeding my life. And like she said, I have an 8-year-old daughter who has a really rare genetic disorder called SATB2. And so I'm her CNA and she's got 18 therapies a week. And so there's just all these little pieces in her life. Plus we have a regular normal kid, 11-year-old, who's involved in sports and theater and things. And so trying to figure out, once I figured out what was wrong with my body, how to get back on track, I was just lost. There were so many sources of information. There's so many inputs. There was this diet program. There's that exercise program. I was like, nope, I give up. I don't care. I don't know what I'm going to do, but none of these are going to work. So in Victoria's group, she's like, hey, we're going to kick off this 21-day challenge and try it out and see what works. It's little changes over time. You can eat foods that you actually enjoy instead of just, crackers and cardboard. And it was like, I've never heard that before. So let's try it out. And so through that, learning how to feed my body, because I had just been eating less, exercising more was all I had known since like I was a kid. I'd always been an overweight kid. And since I was like 10, the doctors had all kinds of different diets, keto, Atkins, you name it, I had been on it, and it just destroyed my metabolism. So when she was talking about healing our metabolism and actually feeding our bodies, it was new information to me, like, oh, I should actually consume calories so I can function. And on that 21-day challenge was just super eye-opening, because here I was eating all this extra food that I had normally been like, no, I can't have this many calories in a day. And I felt so much better. I started to sleep a little bit better. I started to have more energy. You know, it was slow increments. It wasn't like all overnight. But after doing that 21 days, I was like, wow, I feel pretty good. And so, as she said, I applied for the scholarship and won it. And I'm in that still right now. And it's been really cool. And the biggest things for me in it is those little tiny changes each week. You set a goal and you want to try and achieve it. And that's been a big like mental thing for me, because before it was I have to do 87 things or else I fail this entire plan. But not with this. It's learning to teach yourself like, okay, so this week I really did not reach my calorie goal and I need to make sure I eat more. And then the following week I need to up my protein, or that was a terrible decision to eat a protein shake with that much protein at that late at night. So don't do that next week. But you know, learning how to balance those things, but those small little changes. And quite frankly, I mean, what I started technically the challenge, I think, started in February, and I've been doing it kind of ever since. And then through the program, it's a little more intensive than the 21-day challenge. And I can say 100% my energy's increased. My kind of mental fog that I was really suffering with, that's improved. It's not all gone, but it's definitely improved. And just the freedom of being able to eat has impacted just my emotional and mental well-being a lot, because before it was I was afraid of food. I was afraid to eat because people would look at me and be like, oh, you're fat because you eat. I'm like, no, I eat because my body has to be alive. So it was that like, oh, okay, I can eat, I can do this. You need to be smart about what I eat. I can't just go have, you know, carbs all day. I got to make sure I get all this protein into and whatnot. But learning how to put the nutrients together to make my body function, it seems so simple, but it was such a different path than I had ever done before. And it's been great. And so that gradual learning about nutrition, and then I had to gradually work back up to working out again, because it had just dropped out of my schedule. I was like, I don't have time. But I learned how to carve out, 30 minutes here, an hour here, and still kind of squeeze it in. So I go to my daughter's school during the hours that she doesn't have a therapist there. And so I was trying to figure out, how am I going to do this? And sometimes it's as simple as going for a walk while she's at therapy, or, doing 40 jumping jacks in the parking lot. I don't care if people think I look weird. I really don't care. But,
Right.
it's just
you're doing it. They're
active,
not.
right? Exactly. Like, you could join me. This will be fun. And then having that kind of habit. So I started working out 10 minutes a day for 3 days. And I was like, okay, I can manage this. And then after that, it was 20 minutes. And now I'm about half an hour, 45 minutes. But I found those spaces where I can make the time. It's cutting it close sometimes. I mean, I'm driving like a maniac a couple times to get to where I need to go. But it's figuring out, I do have this time if I, make it. So that's been just kind of how it's been going. And it's been really freeing mentally for me, and I feel better. I mean, I haven't dropped 75 pounds and can't wear a size 2, but that's not my goal. My goal is to be healthy and to be active and make my body last as long as possible, because like I said, I've got a special needs kiddo and I need to do her care for as long as possible, because she's nonverbal, and there's a bunch of things that I am not a fan of other people taking care of her. So I want to make sure that I can be strong, and because she's a manual transfer in some things, and she's not like a medically fragile kid, but there are needs that she has that are physical. So if I'm falling apart and I can't stay awake, I'm no use to her. And, I kind of want to live as long as I can, as healthy as I can. So that was like the end all goal, I guess. I ramble a lot in case you were.
No, you're good.
The end all goal was to be active, be healthy, be strong, but not to the point where like all I do is work out and count every second of every day. I want it to be part of my lifestyle, the way I think, like, oh, that has not enough protein. I haven't really had enough today. I'm going to eat something else. Being wise enough after learning how to do this to make those good decisions on fueling my body. Like I could fill it full of junk, but I'm going to feel terrible. So I'm going to choose this, but still having that freedom to where we had a spontaneous date. My husband and I, a couple of weeks ago, we went and ate at Oregano's, an Italian restaurant. I was like, hey, I could fit this in. Yeah, I know. I was freaking out, but she's like, no, it's okay. Just make it work. And it was great. It was still, it reminded me, eat this much of that thing, not all of it, but it's that whole training of here's the education of how your body needs to function. Here's the information, but we're going to take it in little steps. That's been just completely, there is no price tag I can put on that for this program at all.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And, and I appreciate that. All those words, because it's like, it is true. It's like you've done amazing. I mean, how do you feel and the biggest thing is like, I love that, that you talk about, you see like these small, you're feeling it, right? It's that you're going to feel it before you see it. And I think a lot of people struggle with that because they want to see it. They're so focused on the number on the scale or seeing visual, some people don't want to take pictures, and I'm like, that's okay. Just take them and keep them in your thing. You don't have to give them to me. It's like, but later I've had people go, gosh, I wish I would have done that. And it's like, so you've got to kind of, it's such a mental game, right?
It is.
It's a very big time. You have to work on the mental aspect of it, because society and all these other things are telling us one thing. And it's like, what do I do? There's so much, there's like a ton of information out there, but what's the right information?
Exactly.
And if you think back and you go back to, well, what did people do way back when, before all the processed and fast food? They were living good. They were healthier. We're at the point where we have so much stuff out there, so many supplements, so many diet programs, so many gyms, there's all these different programs, but we're at the highest in the obesity rate. And it's like, what's going on? And I think it's just, people are looking for that. We're taught to everything's fast.
Yes.
And that if you just take time for you, self-care, it seems to be, oh, you're lazy, like a lazy thing. It's turned into, if you're not constantly overstressed, then you're not functioning, and it's like, no, as moms, as career women, it's when we need to learn how to just relax and take that time. Like you said, we did yours, and it was those 10-minute blocks. Like I said, I post those 10-minute trainers for that purpose. And last week you probably saw me blast a bunch because I had to re-upload because I was like, oh, I deleted them from the Loom and it deleted it from there, so I had to repost them. But that is my goal, is to put those in there and try to start doing where you have an upper, an ab, and a different one, so you can mix and match your workout. And what would you say would be like if you were and like, what would be the first tip that you would give somebody who was just starting on this journey?
Probably the first words out of my mouth would be, you can do it, just baby steps. It would be to pick one of the items that you want to work on and stick with that until it becomes kind of just normal. And then you can move on. Just know that, find something. It can be whatever you struggle with most, or it could be something that could be easy that you want to accomplish. And because once you get that first kind of accomplishment, it makes it so much easier, and it takes a lot of weight off of you mentally to be able to go to that next step.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Because, when we first start talking in the program, we're going like, okay, here's your 10,000 steps. And I don't know everybody and where they're at. So like some people, like Nicole's in Denver. Where do you live at?
We're up in Windsor near Fort Collins.
Okay. So yeah, they're way up there, right? So I don't get to see her. And unless we're racing, we haven't done that in a long time. It's been a while. But so there's people that I have all over the place. So I don't know people's, like their whole lifestyle and what's going on. So that's why the biofeedback is very, very key. And some people are like, they struggle with answering, and it's just like, do the best. Even if you can't answer all the questions, answer what you can. When you said, the steps, right? 10,000 steps, we say, that's like the norm that everybody goes, oh, 10,000 steps a day. Some people have a sedentary job Maybe they don't, do 2,000 steps. So that's okay. So, my goal is to, not get people to feel like you have to do 10,000 steps, you have to do a gallon of water, and you have to do this. That's not what we're doing. What we need to do is find your starting point and go from there. And what is it that, and it's not me sitting here telling you what to do, right? It's not me, it's going, these are the things. So what do you think you can, what are you willing, what can you work on this week? So it's you, I love the program because it's empowering you to figure out what would work for you instead of being like that, where you can't. It's not about what you can't do. It's tell me what can you do? What's, like you said, picking that one goal for the week and going, you know what, I'm not really walking a whole lot. I'm going to try to hit this amount of steps, whether it's 4,000, because how active you are. And, what your daily busy is for you. And, and they do say, like, a lot of times you'd be surprised if you actually looked at how much time you spent on, on your phone or on doing the stuff. It's amazing where you might be able to cut back. And for you, you've had to figure it out. Okay, when your daughter, you because you have so many appointments in the parking lot, and I tell people, I'm like, what's most important to you is that, well, those are the things you're going to focus on. But it's also true, exactly why I love, your passion and your, commitment to this is because why you have to do it. And your why is that your daughter, not just your health, but your daughter, you've got to be healthy, because like I always say, if you're actually lifting your family and your, others up when you go ahead and take care of you. Because when you're doing that, you're saying you matter enough to me for me to take care of myself, to be here so that I can do these things. Because, so many people want to just give, and we just give everything of ourselves. And then what do you do when you're sick? What do you, you're not going to be there. And then it just rolls, it just makes it worse. And so I love that you're committed to doing this and that you're doing so awesome, and you just have to find the time, to, the measurements or the questions or completing the information. And it doesn't take long, do you think? I mean,
No, it doesn't take too long. So what I usually do, because this works with my schedule, is Sunday night, I log all of my calories and the macronutrients and all of those things. I do all of the biofeedback and the weekly check-in, except the pictures and the measurements, because I do that as soon as I wake up on Monday morning. I'll go do the measurements and the weight, and then I enter those into the app kind of in real time, because that way, it's just the easiest way to do it is to do your pictures and measurements when you first wake up in the morning. And
you look better, you're flatter.
Right, exactly. I'm like, I haven't eaten, so I don't have the stomach like bloating. But it just, take maybe, let's see. So if I log all of my steps, water, nutrients, calories, all of that, it takes me about 12 minutes to enter everything for the entire week using MyFitnessPal and the step tracker and stuff that I have. And then I'm done for the week until the next morning. And then it's maybe 7 minutes the next morning to do. So it's not that bad.
Yeah, you've done really well and you're doing great. And I'm excited
Thanks.
for the journey to continue on. So it's been a blessing and a pleasure having you committed to the process. And what do you feel? Another thing that I know a lot of ladies are concerned about is prep. Do you do a lot of food prep? How do you get ready for like your meals or for the week?
So I kind of do. I used to be better at this, but I'll try to plan out like a week of dinners and go grocery shopping and get that stuff. And that way, I don't have to worry about dinner for the week. And then I usually, because of how crazy our mornings are, I usually have the same thing for breakfast most of the days. I'll spend 20 minutes on a weekend night putting together a bunch of like egg and bacon breakfast burritos and throwing them in the freezer. And then I can put them in the microwave in the morning and be good to go. And then I make sure I have some protein shakes and protein bars in case I don't have time to stick something in the microwave before I leave. And then lunches that's kind of a hit and miss thing for me. Depends on if I'm home or if I'm gone. So I'll usually stick something in my backpack and just to have it. And then I'll try and grab something lean protein or those pre-made salads, or try to make a salad at home and put it in, make sure I've got like nuts and cheese and chicken and all the stuff on them. During the summer, when I'm home a little bit more, I'll kind of just make myself lunch as I'm making the kids lunch. But knowing what I'm going to eat for dinner every day of the week helps, because then I can plan breakfast and lunch around that, because dinner is usually going to be my higher calorie meal, except on the weekends. It's usually lunch for that. But really focusing on the protein part of it is where my planning comes into. I still struggle with that because I'm like, how much protein does this egg have?
Yeah.
But that's the nice thing about MyFitnessPal is I can type it in and be like, oh, that is not going to cut it.
Yeah, you think you're eating and it's like, woo.
Yeah, exactly.
I need
am
more.
not going to eat that anymore. Yeah. But just if you have 10, 15 minutes, put together some breakfast burritos, or I put together some like frozen lunch stuff. I had some pulled pork and I put some peppers and onions in there, and it's frozen in little portions, and I can just put it in the microwave or put it in a lunchbox and microwave it later in the day. So it just having those couple of things that are pre-done are helpful. I used to meal prep for the week and have everything in all the little containers. I don't have time for that anymore. But just do what you can.
I was listening to a podcast. I listened to the Mind Pump podcast. It's a really, really good one. So if anybody's looking for these guys, they're very like, they'll spend 45 minutes talking about like, this is how I get my news, because they spend 45 minutes like talking about current events and stuff. And sometimes it's other stuff. They're interviewing different people or whatever. But then they get down to people asking questions about a lot of things. And they were talking about recently about, food prep, that people always think it takes so long. It's so much. It really doesn't, because he's like, it takes, if you think about, you're making dinner and you're making a couple pieces of chicken, how much time it takes you to make those pieces. If you keep doing that every day, that's a lot more time consuming to keep repeating and making that food than to, like now summertime, get a whole bunch of chicken, grill it out, throw it all. It takes just the same amount of time to grill it, have it there all ready to cut up. When we went to TriFit now, and Jeff had grilled up chicken, and we took it on the plane with us, and we had chicken and, and boiled eggs. Boiled eggs are always great, to have just handy. So really, if you take like an hour or two, you pick an hour, 20 minutes, whatever, you can make up stuff, pretty quickly. Instapot, that's the greatest thing ever.
Yes. I love that thing.
That thing is like, whoo. That's always been my saving, especially because I'm always bad about taking stuff out of the freezer. So
me too.
Throw it in there for frozen. It's all good in 20 minutes. But yeah, it's just a little bit of prepping. Having your fruits and, when you go shopping, I always tell people, when you go shopping, you bringing it into the house, you got to put it away. So instead of just putting it away, rinse it all off, and then, cut it up, put it in bowls, and then stick it in there. Then Walmart has those little containers, lunch containers. They're like $2 for like 10 or something like crazy. And you just having something just to grab, like you said, just to grab. If you have all your salad stuff cut up, it's just bam, 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 throw it.
Exactly.
And then just take it, because everybody has to eat. So, we say, everybody, you got to eat. So just, instead of, keep the, I used to always say there, like doing clearing the clutter from your kitchen, put the stuff up high where you don't see it, the other stuff. And then if you, because I'll tell you, I just got back last week. I was at that market thing over here in Peyton, and this lady was selling pies. And I was like, I can't eat a pie right now, but I bought a pecan pie. I bought it, and Jeff ate a little bit, and I stuck it in the freezer. I just ate some of it. I was like, I'm going to eat that pie, and it was like, so it's not, like you said, you don't have to deprive yourself. It's just a matter of, what is your goal? Where are you going to, and it's not constantly, eating healthy constantly. And you said food flexibility is the key, because if you're told you can't have certain things, you want them more, your body's going to crave them, and you're going to blow it. So, my birthday's coming up next week. And, I was like, oh yeah, it starts Friday and we're going to the melting pot on Monday. I'm like every day. And, I'm like, so it's like, you don't have to feel guilty, and that's what you want to be able to, if you want something, think about it, if it's, you're not doing it all day long, right? You can get up in the morning. I'm pretty much a creature of habit. I eat a lot of the same things for breakfast. Most people do, I think. It's not like, and then lunchtime, it can, if you're busy, like you said, you are, it might be whatever if you don't plan it. And then dinner, you typically at home unless you go out to eat. So I think if most people plan at least 5 meals for the week, that's good. If you can plan 5 meals, dinners, and then have other stuff just available, then your success rate is going to be so much higher, because I don't feel like you're eating crappy 24/7. Right. Nobody's doing that. You can make good choices for most of the day, and then because like you said, you feel it, right?
Oh yeah.
You go and you eat really bad, you feel it. Your body will. I used to always say it's gonna remind you.
For
what's
sure.
going on. And then all you got to do is the next meal. Think of the next meal and what do we do? And protein, making sure there's always protein. And a lot of times the problem is, like you said, with the calories, having to increase that calories. We're not asking you to go from, most people are under eating so much that when we start the program, I don't know where people are at until they start logging. And then it's like, we're going to slowly build you up so your digestive tract doesn't wig out. And, and the fact that you see 2,000 calories is your goal, that's a lot of food. But when you're trying to eat healthy, what do most people mentally do? They look for low calorie. Everybody's like, low calorie, low. No, don't worry about the low calorie. Chicken is usually lower in calories, so it's increased the portion size slightly, so I always say, don't look for the low calorie protein powders, and try not to make all of your, too many meals throughout the day, like the protein powder. One, if you do one, most of your food should come from actual whole foods. And then your, supplements are just supplements. I tell people, that's all they are, to fill in those nutritional gaps, where most of the time we do struggle getting it from food, because food is not as nutritious as it used to be. The soils are not as healthy. And then they feed, animals hormones and stuff. So it's not like, I try not to stress people out by going, get organic, and you got to it's expensive, so you get the best versions, the best choices that you can within your budget, and just, do the best that you can. And the more fruits and veggies and proteins and lean proteins and good carbs, you can do it. You can make it happen. Yep. So, Ashley, do you have any questions?
No, I really enjoyed it, listening to everything, and I got a lot of information. I feel like I'm doing a lot of those things.
Awesome.
So it's just great to hear that those are the things that we should be doing. So I don't think I have any questions. I really got a lot out of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ashley, for joining us. You. And Nichole, thank you for sharing your story and where you're at. And I'm excited to see how much further we can go. And again, the first part of this whole process is, it takes a while. You've been doing it for a couple of months. It is patience. It's resetting that metabolism before we even get into the weight loss. And people think that we're jumping into weight loss right away, and it's not jumping right into, oh my gosh, I haven't lost a pound in like 2 days. It's not going to happen. We've got to fuel our bodies, reset them, allow them to understand. One of the things, I think, if you watch the live that I did this morning, I was talking about, protein, it that allows your body to, it burns more energy, and it allows it to release the energy that your body, that's being stored by fueling your muscles and feeding and trimming the fat. So that is the key. Fuel your muscles, feed your body, and the fat will eventually come off. So I always say, it's a side effect. Once you start becoming healthier, feeling better, you get more, you have more energy, sleep better, managing that stress, your body will ultimately start working for you. Because I always say, God gave us this great, wonderful body, and then we fill it with all kinds of junk. And so now we have to we have to take it back and fix it. So you guys are on the right path. I appreciate you guys joining us, and hopefully, I'm going to be posting this on the group. So there might be some questions. So if anybody has any questions for you, Nichole, we'll have them on there. So
Perfect.
but thank you so much for taking time out.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Yeah.
ladies. I will chat with you later.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Bye.